Parousia 21. Objection to Christ's return at the hour of death. Let's sin, God will forgive. The idea that Christ returns in all his glory, showing himself in his humanity accompanied by saints and angels at the time of death, as he does at the end of the world, has raised other objections, such as sin, take advantage of it, he will forgive everything, he is mercy, so what is the point of making an effort? This objection had already been raised when the Church at the beginning of the Middle Ages had authorized to receive in his life several times the absolution of the priest. Some said, then it's too easy, people only have to sin. It is enough then to go to confession, whereas before it was necessary to make a gigantic pilgrimage, so much so that must ask for baptism just at the hour of death in order to be forgiven, as if the preaching of the mercy of Christ, which is always just, which never is done without the righteousness of Christ, was something dangerous for the souls. The reality is that when a man sins out of weakness or from ignorance or lightness like that, I am not referring to a sin against the Holy Spirit. That is something else which leads to hell. Well, this man who sins accumulates selfishness within his soul, which little by little becomes entrenched by habit. It becomes a vice. They get used to selfishness and pride. He ends up saying to himself that he is right to take advantage of the circumstance. This presents two risks. The first risk is that, in fact, arrived in front of Christ, who will appear so humble, and arrived in the face of beauty, as Marthe Robin said, the greatness of Lucifer, and well, he will find his place in the greatness of Lucifer and not within the humility, the broken heart of Christ. But without going so far, the man who sins out of weakness, mortal sin against the Father, out of ignorance, mortal sin against the Son, who happened before Christ, if he converts to Christ, he is like Zacchaeus, and suddenly he sees the greatness of his sin and the absurdity of his behavior. So like Zacchaeus in the Gospel, his immediate reaction and saying to God, I will pay back 4 times the amount if I have done wrong to someone, and Christ is happy. It is an act of love. However, this person for love will live a long and hard purgatory, all the more hard because he will have added harshness to his sin in relation to others. Jesus says it, with the measure with which you measure yourself, you also will be measured, and you will measure yourself, you might say. And so the souls who have sinned in purgatory refuse for years all the indulgence that the souls of heaven come to bring them. He does not need to pay everything. Christ paid everything for him. They refuse out of righteousness, out of virtue, and they do well until the day when, broken by despair, so much that it seems long, they end up accepting indulgence, and they can then enter paradise. Jesus had said it, all sin, all blasphemy, all will be forgiven except blasphemy against the Holy Spirit. But make haste to be reconciled to your brother while you are on the journey with him on earth, lest your brother up there may hand you over the judge and him to the executioners, and there, in truth, in your jail, you will not get out before having paid the last penny. Who is the executioner? Who is the jailer? This is not Christ. It is our own righteous conscience.